Welcome back to the Four Horsemen. This is Tom. Let's have some fun. Together with Skip from Crossroad Diecast Speed Shop, Andrew from Maple Leaf Customs, and Paul from Diecast Graveyard, we are the Four Horsemen. This month, we welcome Brandon from BJ's Customs as our guest horseman. For my build, my main casting is going to be a Hot Wheels Way Too Fast. Over the past year or so, I've harvested the double motors from several of these. It's the 1930s style sedan body that I'll be using, along with a few other pieces I find around the workshop. Into the citrus strip it goes. Parts of two other Hot Wheels are going into the mix: an Altered States engine and a Bone Shaker's interior, the last of which gets a dunk in Super Clean to remove the chrome. Rat rods, home-built, low-budget customs built with available parts, first emerged in the 1980s in response to the expensive pro-street movement. In the decades since, rat rods have evolved into a culture, often overlapping with genres like wastelands and steampunk. I see rat rods as intentional and functional. They usually boast exposed motors, often very powerful boosted V8s, and the design aesthetic of a welder artist. They've got chopped tops, scrape the pavement, and often have shiny new parts hidden amongst the rust. To me, it's a beautiful celebration of ingenuity, power, and fun. It's the type of car for someone who makes beautiful things but does not take themselves too seriously. The body already has a chopped top, but the body needs a trimming for this vision. I thought the original base would work, but after the body chop, I knew I had to fabricate much of the frame, except the engine mount, because the Altered States gave me the stance I wanted. The wheelbase of the stubby, Altered State wouldn't work with the low, long vision I had in mind. After some cuts with the jewelry saw and grinds with my rotary tool, it was taking shape. For the exposed transmission, I found a volume/microphone from some old earbuds. A crimp and a few cuts later, and I was able to plug it into the motor. Some dry fits, trial and error, and it started to take shape. I imagined what I was doing at 1/64th scale was what rat rodders did: cull together what parts they could find and make them work. Join unfamiliar parts, grind and bend to fit, file down edges, make something that has no owner's manual or warranty. Create. Things always start to come into focus when I get the framework in place. Once the cockpit connected to the frame, I was able to see my final build. I didn't like the scale of the grille, so I harvested one from a Hot Wheels 3-window 34. It only had one headlight, so now I've got a name for this build: Old Left Eye. The original fenders had to go. Old Left Eye was going to be low, and all 4 tires would be outside the body. The position of the cockpit inspired me to close half the back windows. I began with styrene plastic, then mixed my first of what would be many batches of JB Weld, which helped seal the gaps. And make the transmission to the motor better than the glue that was holding it. And the cockpit to the frame. I harvested this gold floorboard from a dune buggy, and I thought it was perfect for the interior. Had to file a trench into it for the drive shaft to fit. Some more filing and clipping for a smoother fit, and now we're ready for rubber. I really want Old Left Eye just sort of scraping the ground when it rolls. I've had this set of tires forever. Part of it's from a 1/50th JDM I found at a thrift store. I like the combination of being oversized, but not 4x4 or tractor tires. To get the minimal ride height, I drilled pretty high into the body. The wheels weren't standard Hot Wheels with piano wire axles. These spin as one, so more fabrication was needed. Hey, I think we're there. I like that I already had room for a steering column. The grille was going to be slanted back, so I needed to twist the headlight so it wasn't shining against the sky like calling Batman. A little heat and a twist, and we're lighting the way. And with a little filing, the grille dovetails perfectly against the fuel tank. It's also anchored on the front axle, which has disc brakes from an altogether different set of wheels. In fact, I know the fronts and rears match, but they're not from the same car. I could stop here, but I won't. Looks like a miniature project car. Well, that's exactly what she is. One thing old Left Eye was going to have was a windshield visor. I experimented with different thicknesses of styrene and ended up shaping the visor to fit, but I had to true it to the roof, so I chose to raise the roof just a little bit. A thin piece of styrene and another slathering of JB Weld to ensure the visor wouldn't get loose and pop off did the trick. I took a different approach when crafting the gear shift out of a used axle. Instead of adding a bead as the handle, I crimped and filed the end of the hub into a ball, which looked more to scale. I also used a length of broken jewelry saw blade as a handbrake. This baby's gonna do donuts. To attach the body to the frame, I bent wire into hooks to grab the axle, then fed the lengths under the cockpit to hold it in place. Now we're rolling. I dribble on makeup while the paint's still wet to create texture. I know I'm running the risk of going from adorable rust bucket to found at the bottom of the ocean, but sanding with 5000 grit sandpaper, a little Bondo, and matte clear coat smooths things up. It's a process. Layer on makeup, tamp it down, shake it off, dry brush a bit. I actually created 6 rat rods using different rust methods to inform this build. Old Left Eye was a little gold, so a combination of black wash and brown wash helped knock down the shine a bit. I went with a lipstick red for bucket seats. My palette looks like a toxic waste dump, Perfect. Yeah, that's real Bondo. My only regret is I didn't have any 3D printed steering wheels in stock to replace that jelly donut. Old Left Eye is ready to tear it up. This was a great theme and a really fun build. In March, I have 3 builds on the horizon. March 15th, we celebrate Andrew and Maple Leaf Customs as he reaches his 5th anniversary on YouTube. I'll be one of more than 50 builders around the world participating in this annual build. Any Porsche, any style, but you have to give it away to someone after you're done. The 17th is the first of 2 Four Horsemen builds in March, where we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Any casting, just make it green. And welcome Boris's Diecast and Dioramas as our guest horsemen. And on the 31st, the second Four Horsemen build for the month has the theme Scouting, with guest horseman Jeremy Ansley. Four Horsemen builds are open to all. You don't have to have a YouTube channel or a presence on social media at all to participate. And if you do, we want to celebrate your work. To be included in our recap videos, please email a high-resolution, horizontal, or widescreen glamour shot of your build, preferably on a white background, to fourhorsemendiecast@gmail.com on the due date of the build. And if you do post your build on social media, please use the hashtag #4HorsemenDiecast. This was a rockabilly, ring-dang-doo of a time, rust and all. Oh, one more thing. This is how you get in and out of Old Left Eye. For the Four Horsemen, this is Tom. See you again real soon.